Hello and welcome to day 2 on the Lovely Home podcast. I loved day 1. I absolutely loved looking at all of the homework questions that y'all were answering. And I also just loved hearing y'all's excitement for the giveaway. And yes, day 1 was awesome. It was long, but it was awesome. I'm excited to dive into day 2. Today, we're going to be focusing on the human body, God's design for the human body, as well as your life, your habits, your rhythms, your routines. We're going to be discussing all of that today. It's going to be a very hefty podcast episode, so let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Lovely Home Podcast Retreat. I'm Evelyn, your host of the Lovely Home Podcast, and I'm so glad you're here. You and so many other women know what it feels like to carry the weight of guilt, pressure, and the constant feeling of not doing enough in your mind, life, and home. Over the next few days, we're going to step away from that and explore God's beautiful design for our mind, our bodies, and our homes, so we can begin building rhythms filled with more peace, more grace, and more loveliness. So go, grab your cup of coffee, get your Lovely Home planner or another notebook, and let's begin. All right, you guys. So yesterday we discussed how there is a bit of a difference between the way the female brain works versus the male brain. A woman's brain works more thread-like over 28 days, whereas a male brain works more box-like and it resets every 24 hours. So there's a truth here that I want to really key in on, and that is that because women are more relationally wired, our habits will stick better when they are connected with meaning, whenever they are emotionally rewarding, and whenever they are attached to identity. So creating habits, whether we know it or not, is a very mindful experience, and we are using those 3 core things that we talked about yesterday a lot: the prefrontal cortex, the amygdala, and the hippocampus. So a quick little recap on what those are. Your prefrontal cortex is like your command center. It is your decision maker. It's responsible for making and starting new habits. And your amygdala is like your alarm dog. It's kind of like your toddler. If you are a parent, it's very emotional and it reacts like crazy. Like its main job is to ask if something is dangerous or not. And then your hippocampus is like your own personal library or your own personal filing cabinet. Like it stores all your information, everything you've ever learned, either educationally or spiritually or relationally. So your memories are all stored in your hippocampus. That was a quick little recap on what those things are. Okay, let's dive into what they do though. So your prefrontal cortex, again, is your decision maker. It's responsible for starting new habits, remembering to perform them, and saying no to temptation. It forces follow through even whenever it's hard to keep going. It focuses on the inside and out. So if you are on your period and you are feeling a lot more pain or discomfort, your prefrontal cortex is thinking about addressing your pain versus your daily to-dos. So your brain thinks inwardly and outwardly. It's very fascinating. Okay, your amygdala asks, again, is this dangerous or safe? It reacts before you have time to think. It's responsible for detecting danger or stress, triggers, fear, anxiety, anger. It decides what feels urgent or what does not feel urgent. It stores emotional memories. It sends to the hippocampus your emotions, and then your hippocampus stores the memory of that emotion. And then it starts the body's stress response. So we talked about how yesterday, if your amygdala is constantly going off, that's creating neural pathways in your brain that kind of wreck your nervous system and causes your stress hormone, which is your cortisol, to rise. And that causes fatigue, brain fog, irritation, and all sorts of things. So that all is from the amygdala. It also works automatically and quickly. So usually your emotions will kind of flag first, and then your prefrontal cortex will decide what to do with that emotion. Okay, your hippocampus handles memory and meaning. It forms, stores, and recalls memories, including routines, conversations, and your memories. It connects emotions with memories, which is why some things are strongly remembered or hard to forget or even sometimes blocked. Sometimes when a traumatic experience happens, our brain cannot remember it very well because the amygdala was so heightened that it blocks any of that information going to the hippocampus. It's all so fascinating. The human brain is just absolutely amazing. So your hippocampus also helps you notice your patterns and cycles and habits. The hippocampus is sensitive to stress, which can cause brain fog, forgetfulness, or even trouble learning. So if you have a negative pathway in your brain towards a habit that you're trying to form, you will not be able to form that habit because the hippocampus does not have a clear understanding of how you should even do it. And it also is going to react to the emotion instead of the memory of how to do it. Also, something else to remember, if the alarm dog is going off, if your amygdala is flagging and blinking and screaming, your hippocampus cannot remember and function correctly. So if you're trying to teach your child something and your child is not able to understand it and your child's getting frustrated because he or she is not able to understand it, then that is his or her amygdala starting to go off. And if that amygdala is going off, then whatever you're trying to teach the child is not actually going to be retained. Isn't that interesting? So fascinating. Again, it is just incredible. If you are overwhelmed, performing a routine is difficult to do because your brain is trying to fix the amygdala problem, the overwhelm, first. So I like to use the example of coming home from work. If you are coming home from work, say you have your lunch bag or your work bag or whatever you brought to work with you, you are now bringing it inside. A lot of times when you are coming home, you are stressed, overwhelmed, anxious, frustrated, irritated because you are not wanting to do the things that you need to do when you get home. Because you know there are so many things you need to do, but you don't want to do it, and it ends up causing your amygdala to go off and start blaring. When you come home, when you walk through the door, your brain is more focused on trying to figure out how to quickly calm down your amygdala than it is on trying to start the tasks that you know you need to do. So a lot of the times when we're bringing in things, you are not wanting to take the time to put those things away because that is quote unquote draining, and it is not the quote unquote fix it your amygdala wants. Even though you know that putting away the things is the right thing to do, you don't have the energy or the capacity to actually do it because your amygdala is going off. So your brain will reach for the quick fix it that calms down your amygdala the fastest, which is what? Usually just putting the stuff down on the counter. And that is why clutter happens on your countertops. That is why dumping station begins. And this is also why doom scrolling when you first get home tends to be a pretty common bad habit amongst everyone. So if you have the habit of doom scrolling when you first get home, I want you to ask yourself, is this a habit that I'm forming because my amygdala is stressed about getting things done? Or is this a habit I'm wanting to create because it brings me joy? Does it bring you escape from what needs to happen? Or does it fill you with peace and makes you feel more lovely? If you are doing a Band-Aid fix-it to a problem you know you need to address, I highly suggest possibly doing a pausing station. A pausing station is whenever you have a place in your home that you go to when you first get home, you stand before it, and you just breathe. You can perform a mindful transaction where you take a deep breath, you recognize your season, you pay yourself a compliment, and you kindly criticize, right? That's a mindful transaction. So if you are getting home, I highly suggest you walk over to your pausing station, breathe, tell yourself you're okay, and allow your brain the space to be able to reset. Doing this will calm down your amygdala, and then moving on to the next hard thing that you know you need to do will be easier to tackle. All right, that was kind of a side thing because that's not even what we're supposed to be talking about today. But anyways, I figured I'd share. All right, so your prefrontal cortex is more focused on fixing the problem than it is on performing the task you may want to perform. You may want to work out when you first get home, but you don't because that is not the response your amygdala wants. That's not going to calm down your amygdala the fastest. What will is a Band-Aid fix-it problem, which is like doom scrolling, like we talked about before. So when you are creating a habit, this is very important to remember because creating habits are very mindful experiences. Whenever you are creating a habit, the first thing that happens in your brain is your amygdala flagging it / reacting to it. Then, after your amygdala flags it, your prefrontal cortex determines how to react to that flag. It's looking for the fix it. Is it going to do a band-aid fix it that's not actually going to fix the real issue at hand? Or is it going to fix the real issue? Then the next thing that happens, your hippocampus downloads it into the library. So it downloads how you reacted as well as how you didn't react. And remember, it's going to download the emotion. So if you have a negative emotion towards this habit, then that is what is going to be downloaded into your hippocampus. When you come home from work and you want to start the habit of working out, your amygdala flags it. There's an emotion to working out. Sometimes it's negative. So this could go interchangeably. Like if you are creating a good habit or if you are creating a bad habit, it still follows this same method. If your amygdala does not flag it and it ends up being like a good emotion, then your prefrontal cortex will act and fix your habit that you're trying to create and then send it over to the hippocampus. Let me speak through that with an example. You are working out. Your body craves to be healthy. Your body craves to feel beautiful and feel lovely and feel healthy. Whenever you say those words, your amygdala is not feeling like it's in danger. It's good. So then that tells your prefrontal cortex that you can start doing a workout. Maybe you're doing a yoga video on YouTube. Whenever you finish your yoga YouTube video, how you are feeling about it will be downloaded into your hippocampus. If you're constantly praising yourself throughout the workout and saying good things about your body and saying good things about the workout or saying good things like, I am so proud of you, you're doing this even though it's hard. If you are saying things like that, your hippocampus will remember that the next time you go to work out. If instead you say, this is so hard, I hate this, I don't ever want to do this again, your hippocampus will remember that and send that to your prefrontal cortex the next time you go to work out. And the emotion that you're feeling will be the emotion you feel the next time you want to go work out. Okay, so I want you to ask yourself, anytime you're creating a habit, I want you to ask, how is my amygdala reacting to this said habit? How is my amygdala reacting to this habit? And then I want you to ask, what series of actions is my prefrontal cortex wanting to perform or not perform for this said habit? And then I want you to ask, what is my hippocampus going to remember from this experience? When you create a habit, you are using all three of these parts of your brains, and it is important to pay attention to it. Because if you do not pay attention to these parts of your brain, then you may have a bunch of failed habits or failed rhythms or routines, because you're not paying attention to what your brain is saying about it. And if your brain is creating negative pathways towards these routines, you're not going to want to do them, and it's just going to end in you not having this habit or routine that you may or may want. Another thing that I want to talk to you about is a very helpful resource that it is more widely known by everyone in the habit world, and that is the habit loop created by Charles Duhigg. So the habit loop is a cue, craving, response, reward. It all starts with a cue, and then that rolls you into your craving. What is your craving to that cue? And then that will roll you into your response, and then that will roll you into your reward, and then that just repeats over and over and over again. So say we have the habit of doom scrolling. Here is how you can use the habit loop to stop doom scrolling. Your cue is feeling like your phone is taking up too much time. Your craving is to have less screen time. Your response is introducing screen blocking apps, and your reward is less time on the screen and more peace. So it all It follows the same things that we talked before, using your amygdala, your prefrontal cortex, and your hippocampus. Your cue is your amygdala going off. Your craving is your prefrontal cortex deciding what the craving is. And your response is your prefrontal cortex responding and doing one of those things that your prefrontal cortex is suggesting. And then that is sent to your hippocampus to remember for next time. And then your reward is the feeling you get, which is your amygdala, as well as your hippocampus remembering the reward and the positive impact that it had. So that is another resource that a lot of people use. I will say one thing about this. The habit loop was created by a man that has a 24-hour reset cycle hormone-wise. And whenever a man is creating a habit, it is a lot easier for them to create habits because they have resetting hormones every single day and a more box-like mind, which makes habits and routines easier for men. For women, having it be a more rhythm situation is better for the way that a woman's brain is created by God. Okay, so now we're going to talk about rhythm versus routine. A routine is kind of the word that everyone knows. The definition of routine is a strict group of specific habits that lead you to the end goal. It's more like a staircase where each step is a different habit and it leads you from point A to point B. In order to get from the bottom to the top, you have to do every single habit that will get you to the top. It also is more like a domino train. The domino, quote unquote, affects the end result. If you have a domino train and if you have each domino be a different habit, if you're knocking over your dominoes, it should be a train. But what happens if you miss a habit? What happens if one of your dominoes doesn't fall? Then your routine has a very awkward cut to it, right? Sometimes the routine will never get done, or you'll finish the routine feeling discouraged because you know you failed or missed one habit. And that results to guilt, and that results to a negative pathway. So I want to introduce to you a rhythm. A rhythm is a lot more grace-filled. Rhythms flow like a thread. It's a series of things that are all connected. They serve as guidelines instead of strict things to do. Instead of having a step of things, it's more like a thread of things. If you picture a house, routines are like bricks where each individual brick builds a wall. And if you miss one of those bricks or if one of those bricks falls, then it determines the structure of the wall. Whereas a rhythm is more like a pillar. That pillar stays sturdy and holds up the roof to your house and is a sound structure. So a routine is more like a staircase, which means it's more box-like. And if it's more box-like, then that is going to be better for a man's brain. A man is going to do better with strict to-dos because each to-do is a different box that they can easily roll into. A woman does not do very well with boxes because that's just not how our brain works. Our brain works more like a thread, right? We go from point A to point B to point C to point D, and it's not like a box. It's a thread that just goes to and fro from start to finish, and it's all part of a hormone train that lasts 28 days. So an example of a morning routine is you wake up at 6:30, you make the bed, you do your skincare, you make coffee, you read your Bible, and you do 25 minutes of yoga. That is a routine. It's filled with very specific things that you do each and every day. It's not very giving, it's not very grace-filled, and it is not very great for a woman that goes through 4 different phases of her menstrual cycle, which we'll be talking about a little bit later. There's nothing wrong with that per se, but there's not a lot of grace, and having specific things to do can lead to feeling more guilt. And again, guilt can lead to negative pathways. It can just be a little more harmful for the way that the female brain works. Here is an example of a morning rhythm, though. Again, these are more like guidelines. These are pillars. They're not strict to-dos. They are overall suggestions for how you would like the day to go. These do not have to be done in any specific order, and they will help you have a more grace-filled mind. Something lovely, something body, something helpful, something holy, something active. There was not a single specific thing that was said, but only a guideline of how the morning should go. There is freedom in every day because every day can be something different. However, there is still structure. Specific things were not said, but pillars were established to lead you where to go. It sticks better for the female brain because the reward is more emotional driven and the to-do list is less daunting. Okay, so let's kind of dive in on what each of these mean. Something lovely is when you do something that makes you feel like the beautiful, lovely soul that God designed you to be. Whenever you are doing something lovely, you are doing things like making coffee if that's something you enjoy, painting if you enjoy that. Whatever your something lovely is, it should focus you back onto pouring into the person that God designed you to be. Something body is when you pour into your physical appearance. This is when you can do your skincare routine. This is when you can get dressed for the day, when you can do your makeup, do your hair. You can do all those things, or you can just do one of those things. Doing something helpful is when you focus on something outside of yourself, but it's for your home and for your family. This is whenever you're serving your household. So this would be like starting a load of laundry, washing the dishes, cleaning a whole room. Like it can change from day to day. Something holy is when you do something to deepen your relationship with God and connect with your Savior. So this could be reading the Bible. This could be doing a devotional. This could be listening to a spiritual podcast. This could be praying. This could be going to church. Like it could be anything holy. And then something active is when you pour into your physical health. This is whenever you can do a workout. You can go on a walk. Maybe you just do 15 jumping jacks. It changes day to day, but the action point is still hit. So again, this is where you're creating the habit of asking the question, something lovely, something active, something body, something holy, and something helpful. It does not have to be all of those. And if you want to replace words to make them match you more, you should totally do that. But I highly suggest you following the rhythm method for the female brain. I want you right now to kind of create what your morning rhythm would be. What words will you use to kind of guide you on your thread throughout your morning? Also, create a lovely bank. Your lovely bank should be filled with all the lovely things that make you feel like the person you were created to be. This is where you write down silly things. This is where you write down hobbies. Like to me, I like prayer journaling. That is something lovely. To me, that is a Jesus thing. A hobby is I really enjoy crocheting. So that is a hobby. That is something lovely to me. And then something fun/silly is eating a Pop-Tart. Because as y'all know, if y'all are familiar with the podcast, you know that I love the way a Pop-Tart looks. I have always loved how a Pop-Tart looks ever since I was little. The backside of a Pop-Tart is so lovely to me because you can see the imprint from the conveyor belt. And that is just simply stunning. Another silly, lovely thing to me is whenever you're driving over a bridge and there's that ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum sound. Oh, that is so lovely to me. I absolutely love that. So create a lovely bank. Have a list of lovely things that you know that you can go to and decide what to do, or if you are just needing encouragement to remember who God designed you to be, create a lovely bank. Start with just 10 things that you find lovely. They can be your favorite shows, your favorite movies, your favorite colors, your favorite things to eat, your favorite things to drink, anything. So yes, you got to have a lovely bank. Now, how can we go about, this is your morning, but how can we go about a whole day? How can we have a day match the rhythm? So think of the hours of your day as a long string of thread. The thread is constant. It's flexible, and it can be used for so many different things. How you spend your day is a piece and a part of that thread. God's design of the day flows, so how you steward your day should as well. Having routines for every part of your day is not necessary, but having a guide of how you would like your day to go or would like to accomplish within a day, could be helpful. So I want you to imagine a spool of thread on a table. If you push the spool across the table, the thread becomes a path. Your day is your spool unraveling and traveling. From the minute you were born, your spool of thread started unraveling, and it is going to continue to unravel until God determines when it stops. So where will your thread go? What will your day-to-day guide be? I have 4 different rhythms that are kind of guides for throughout my day, and that's my morning, my midday, my evening, and my night rhythm. All of these are part of my daily thread. In the morning, I will strive to do something lovely, something body, something helpful, and something dinner. I will do something that makes me feel like the lovely person God designed me to be. I will pour into my physical appearance. I will do something helpful for my household. I will do something for dinner later that night. Or sometimes I'll do slow cooker sunrise. I will do that. And so sometimes that is my something dinner as well. Okay, my midday rhythm is when I go to work. So I do something work, and then I want to do something helpful at work. I also want to do something lovely at work. And during the boy that I nanny his nap, I will do my something holy. This is whenever I will spend time in God's Word. And because midday just works better personally for my season of life right now. However, I have had my something holy be in my morning rhythm, and I also have had it be in my nighttime rhythm. My evening is something ember, so I will pour into my dog. I will do something active because usually Nathan will go work out in the evening. And when he goes to work out in the evening, I will go to work out upstairs in my little workout gym that I have very sketchily put together. Something dinner, this is when I make dinner. And then something home is whenever I pour into my home rhythm, which we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Very excited about that. And then something hubby is whenever I spend time with my husband. We will connect. Then my nighttime rhythm is whenever I'm winding down. I'm resting in grace, and I'm resetting and getting ready for the next day's thread to begin unraveling. So I will do something body. This is where I will probably not necessarily pour into my physical appearance, but I will lay to rest my physical appearance. So I'll wash my face, put on pajamas, lay out my clothes for the next day. Then I'll do something lovely. Usually it's reading, but it could be watching a show. It could be journaling, could be anything. Then I have something helpful. This is where, again, I will do something for my whole household. Maybe it's prepping the laundry basket for a load of wash in the morning. Maybe it's folding some clothes. Maybe it's making my bed at nighttime, because sometimes I do that like a weirdo. Or maybe it is cleaning the kitchen. It could be anything I want. And then something holy is where I will usually fall asleep praying. So yes, that is my daily thread. That's the guideline and my pillars that I have created for my daily thread. Sometimes during very busy seasons, I will just lay in bed at the end of the day and ask, okay, did I do something lovely today? Yeah, I did. I made myself a coffee this morning. Did I do something holy? Yeah, I prayed on my way to work today. Did I do something active? Yeah, I went on a walk with Ember. Did I do something body? You bet I did. I brushed my teeth. And did I do something helpful? I sure did. I unloaded the dishwasher. During really busy seasons of life, those are the core questions that I tend to ask myself. And those are the core questions that I try to hit every single day. Okay, here is the kind encouragement to remember that your thread should match your season of life. Your life should adapt to your season without guilt. God's design of the woman does not work with the same strict routine pushed and encouraged for women to have. Again, like we discussed yesterday, that women are designed to have a cycle that lasts 28 to 30 days. It's not just 7. Our whole cycle lasts an entire month and sometimes over a month. And it's not just the week we bleed. That's God's design. There are 4 different phases that can be fluctuating hormones throughout each phase. The menstrual phase, the follicle phase, the ovulatory phase, and the luteal phase. Your menstrual phase will last 3 to 7 days. Your follicle phase will last 7 to 14 days. Your ovulatory phase lasts 12 to 24 hours, and the luteal phase lasts 10 to 14 days. During your menstrual phase, your body is probably the most physically stressed because it's probably the most uncomfortable and in pain because that is the week that you are shedding the lining from your uterus and estrogen and progesterone are at their lowest levels. That means you will not have a lot of motivation. Your body discomforts more than normal, and your prefrontal cortex is more focused on addressing the inward pain than performing the outward tasks. Your amygdala is heightened, so your hippocampus can't be used to its fullest potential. So brain fog and memory loss will be a lot more prominent. I want you to identify during this phase of your month what easy tasks can you do in your home, in your mind, and what habits can you choose to pour into during this phase of your thread? During the menstrual phase of your thread, you have to be a little more slower and a lot more graceful towards yourself. During this phase, you can still follow the guideline pillars that you have set up for yourself, but what you do will change. Unlike a routine where you have strict to-dos to do every single day, you have your pillars, your guidelines, your something lovely method. Your something lovely can be journaling. Your something active can be a gentle stretching routine. Your something body can be a beautiful bubble bath. Your something holy can be listening to a worship service. So you see how with the rhythm method, you're able to apply it to every phase of your month. We're going to dive into all the phases, but it's not like the strict routine where you feel guilty for not going to the gym and hitting your crazy gym routine when you're menstruating. On the next phase of your monthly thread, your follicle phase, which again lasts 7 to 14 days, signals a new cycle to your body. Your brain releases FSH hormones, prompting ovaries to mature eggs. Your estrogen levels gradually rise, which rebuilds the lining in your uterus and improves your energy and focus. Your body prepares for ovulation. Your amygdala is not as heightened as it was in the last phase, and so the hippocampus can now function fully. Your motivation rises as well as your energy. This is why the week after your period, you feel a lot more motivated. You mentally can take on more difficult tasks. So I want you to identify what are the more difficult things that are harder to do in your home mentally and do these during this phase. Not necessarily the physically draining things, but the mentally draining things, because this is when your brain is the most clear. How can you apply your morning rhythm to this phase? You can be a little more active during your something active. You can do a whole on big, giant Bible study if you wanted to during your something holy. You can do a little something more in depth for your something lovely. Maybe you're going to paint. I don't know, whatever you want it to be. How can you use your rhythms to match this phase of your cycle? Next, you have your ovulatory phase. This is the phase where you feel the most confident. Even though ovulation only lasts 12 to 24 hours, your week of ovulation is when your estrogen reaches its peak. Your body is just feeling a lot more physical. So you will want to do more physically draining chores and not necessarily mentally draining chores. You also will feel the most social during this week. So if you have donations that you need to drop off, the best time for you to do that is during your ovulatory phase. Okay, what is happening during ovulation though? Your body is releasing the egg from the ovary. The egg travels to potentially be fertilized, and your energy will be at its peak. Your motivation will be at its highest, and you'll want to be more social, and you'll be more outward focused than inward focused. Some people call this your nesting phase too. You will want to do things that are more nesting because your body is literally creating a home. So whenever you are in your ovulatory phase, maybe this is the week you want to declutter because your brain is like, we gotta get a home ready. What's so fascinating is that the to-dos that you focus on for this phase, if you focus on more physically draining to-dos, that would be easier for your body to achieve because you literally physically feel more beautiful, more confident, and more capable. Your luteal phase is the last phase of your cycle, and this one lasts 10 to 14 days. In this phase, your body releases more progesterone because it is looking for a potential blessing in your womb. Naturally, your body assumes every single month, whether you are married or not, or whether or not your brain says anything, your body naturally assumes that egg that was released was fertilized and there is a baby starting to grow in your womb. So during your luteal phase, a lot of progesterone will be sent to start nurturing that potential blessing. When your body finds out that you, in fact, do not have a potential blessing in your womb, then your body will disperse the progesterone. It'll just slowly fizzle out. I like to call your luteal phase your decrescendo phase. If you are familiar with music terms, then that's kind of like whenever it starts really loud and then it gets to really quiet. Your body during the luteal phase, a ton of progesterone and a ton of energy and a ton of motivation, and you're super go, go, go. And then it'll just slowly fizzle out and you'll end the phase not wanting to do anything at all. During this phase, your body will be literally more hungry because your body is wanting to start nurturing the baby that could potentially be in your womb. And so that's why a lot of people, your calorie intake during this phase is higher because you are craving more food because your body is storing more nutrients to go towards the baby. But when the baby's not there, then it just disperses. It's so crazy to me. During this phase, though, you also are a lot more irritable. You tend to be more sensitive and you also are more emotional aware. And sometimes your emotional will determine your life decisions. Your patience may decrease and your energy slowly lowers. Feelings may range from being grounded and thoughtful to easily overwhelmed. So during this phase, it is important for us to choose habits that start more physical, that are a little more draining and difficult, and then ending the phase with slowing down and getting ready for the next phase, which is the menstrual phase again. So I like to think of this phase as preparing you for menstruation. So you want to do whatever you can for that first couple of days when you're feeling super motivated. And then you want to use those days to prepare for your week of menstruation. You want to do the hard physical things that you will not want to do during your menstrual phase. Okay, again, the rhythms method can apply to all 4 of these phases, but a routine method can result in feeling more guilt. And when there's guilt, there's usually drop off because there's that sense of failure, even though your brain and body are literally wired and created to not do the same thing every single day. Our energy levels are not supposed to do that. Our hormones are not supposed to do that. We are supposed to have 4 different phases. And it's okay for our habits to be able to move and flow and be flexible just like our body. Okay, so I want you to ask yourself what your daily threads are for each phase. And I want you to give yourself grace. And I want you to give yourself time. And I want you to allow yourself freedom. You are partnered with God on how your daily thread will spill out. And having each week look a little different is okay. Try to be consistent and asking the guidelines instead of trying to be consistent and doing specific to-dos. Don't restrict yourself to forcing your brain to work in boxes, but flow freely and with grace. Today, I want you to start putting this rhythm into practice. Something mind, something life, something home. That's it. 3 things. That's what I want you to try to do. I want you to determine what can be for your mind. So this would be like something lovely, something holy. Something life is doing something active, and something body, and something home is doing something helpful. Okay? So doing those 3 things, those 3 pillars, something mind, something life, and something home, can help you create lasting rhythms that are founded in grace and still give you enough structure to be able to succeed and have healthy habits without having the guilt. Okay, now that's all I have for today. It was pretty crazy of an episode, right? I love this episode, but I think today's episode is just a little crazy because it just dives so much into the science of God's design for the human body and also just habits in general. Now you know. Now you know how to create lasting habits. And it's not by doing very specific things over and over again. It's simply asking the question of a guideline. Okay, so much freedom has just been unlocked to you, my friend, and I am so excited for you as you start this journey. So today's homework question. Are you ready? Again, you will want to answer this question over on the Lovely Home Podcast Facebook group page. That's the Lovely Home Podcast retreat page. That's what I meant to say. And if you are not in that Facebook group, it's not too late. You can sign up using the link below, or you can go to allthingslovely.co and hit the sign up for the retreat button. And doing that will also give me your email so that I will be able to send you a link to the Bible study happening on Saturday. And y'all are not ready for that Bible study in terms of today. Like there's so much in the Bible that talks about what we just talked about today. And I'm very excited to tell you all about it. So yes, you'll want to be part of that devotional. Okay, the homework question. What does your ideal daily thread look like? Following the something pillar method. So I want you to create your pillar and I want you to figure out what your ideal daily thread looks like using the something method. So not strict to-dos, but guidelines. All right. I also want you to think about how you can adapt this to your cycle. So what can your ideal daily thread look like for each of your different phases of your cycle? Okay. All right. That's today's homework question. It's pretty loaded, but it's great. It's great. Now, today's giveaway. Are y'all excited? I'm so excited. So today's giveaway is a $50 gift card to Ro Casa's Organics. Ro Casa is a health and wellness company that is kind of more crunchy, quote unquote. It's very pure, it's very toxin free, and they have so much between home care items, skincare, hair care, bodily and medicine care. It is just an amazing company that I absolutely love and I have been using for the last 3 years now. I love Ro Casa. Yes, so a $50 gift card is today's giveaway. If you are interested in that, then you need to go and answer the homework question. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me for today's podcast episode. I'm excited for us to dive into tomorrow, which is all about your home management system. So exciting. All right. You are lovely, and so is your home. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Goodbye. Did you enjoy today's episode? What was your favorite part? I would love to hear about it on a Lovely Rhythms call, as well as discuss with you how you can create lasting rhythms that work for your mind, your menstrual phase, and your love languages. You can book your Lovely Rhythms call right now at allthingslovely.co. And if you've just run out of note-taking space, I highly recommend you checking out the Lovely Home Planner while you're on the website. This undated planner can help you create rhythms that are founded on grace instead of guilt, and is filled with encouragement specifically designed by me for Christian homemakers. It would be such a gift if you left a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts, as well as leaving a 5-star rating on any of your podcast streaming platforms. And if you want to know a way that you can encourage another sister in Christ, go ahead and send them this episode so that they can begin their journey in feeling more grace and less guilt in their mind, life, and home. And lastly, I want to know you're listening. So take a screenshot, upload it to your Instagram story, and tag us at Lovely Home Podcast. Know that you are lovely, and so is your home, because of what Christ has done for you. And I look forward to talking to you again next week on a Lovely Home Podcast. Goodbye!